Hey everybody, coming at you with a longer version of my look at the hilarious zany spoof comedy Stop That Train. So for those of you who follow, which is, quite a handful of you, and then a lot of you trying to hawk me cryptocurrency or trying to pretend to be people I follow on social media, who then I click on you and you also try to sell me cryptocurrency, welcome. So anyway, for those of you who know, I like to go to the movies. I own over 4,000 movies. I've always been a fan of the movies. I really think we should all get back to going to theaters. And so this is my goal this year, to see 100 movies, to encourage people to go back to the movies and remember about what it's like to witness art and laugh together and have empathy together in a community sense. So this is my challenge, to see 100 movies and encourage people to go back to the movies. Like I said, I myself own over 4,000 movies because I love the movies so much. So I do the short form version, which is nice because, as my students would tell you, once you get me going, I just spin. So the minute's nice because people don't necessarily want to hear me process and want the ins, the outs, and then that's nice. And this is also nice format because why I originally started this was I go to the movies 98% of the time by myself, and I like to come on here and just kind of process my thoughts. What did I think? What did I remember about this movie? And I want to remember the movies. This is a place where I can also remember those films. So, you like that? You like the other one? Welcome. I'm just going to process my thoughts on the films, and here we go. So let's talk about Stop That Train with RuPaul, directed by Adam Shankman. Going into the movie, I guess I'll start with that. Didn't have the highest expectations of the film. Not for anything other than, kind of the last 20, 30 years of these movies in the genre of like spoof movies have always advertised themselves as, this is hilarious and there's so many jokes, and then you find that most of the jokes were just in the trailer and the rest of it is just flat. It doesn't have the formula or the recipe of the movies that I grew up with that were the great movies of the genre, like Airplane, Kentucky Fried Movie, Top Secret, Mel Brooks movies. Those had this kind of quality to them where they made you just laugh out loud. The lines are still very quotable, right? Like, you could still quote most of Airplane and have an entire conversation with someone quoting lines from Airplane, right? There was just some kind of thing about those movies that doesn't exist in the spoof movies I've seen over the last 20, 30 years. This movie, I am so glad I went because it found that magic, and it is so funny. And the audience that I was with, which was a much older crowd, was also just, we were having the best time. And they seem to really capture the essence and the spirit of what made those movies so good in this, all the while giving a really dynamic platform to drag culture in Pride Month. So double goodness of this. But like I said, it wasn't on my radar necessarily. A friend of mine went to see it and they said, hey, you should go see this, it's hilarious. Not, all right, I'll go. And I'm so glad I went because, oh my goodness, it found the magic formula. So for instance, those movies they were spoofing disaster movies, right? This kind of like disaster that's born out of something that would just normally be like page 3 of a newspaper, but everybody's involved. The world is involved. So in this case, you're looking at a speeding bullet train in a world that is now run by bullet trains heading towards Stormaganza. And it involves, the whole global community. President, played hilariously by RuPaul, and all the people involved in the story who are there to save the day, right? So you think about Lloyd Bridges in Airplane, Robert Stack, the whole idea of Stryker in Airplane having this tragic backstory with George Zip, right? And so they've got those people. So you've got two characters in that. Sorry, I had to sneeze. The two characters, Tess and Dee Dee, who work for this low rent bullet train company that's definitely going out of business. Trying to work their way onto this glamorous train car company that goes to all these beautiful places because they want to see America, right? They want to see the world. Whereas, again, this too is what told me I was going to have the best time in this movie was the train terminal sequence at the beginning, which reminded me so much of the the airplane terminal sequence in Airplane, with the red curb, white curb, the courtesy phones, Stryker fighting off the Church of the Consciousness. the visual gags, the non sequitur gags, the double meaning of words gags. And this got that formula. So if you listen, like their train company is so bad, it's going to, the only place it goes is like Pyongyang and Guantanamo Bay. So funny if you follow it. And that's the other thing about this movie too, is it's smart, right? In a world where people don't often focus on details of films anymore because they, it's when the dialogue's happening, then I need to pay attention. You got to pay attention to this movie. There's sight gags everywhere. There's signs that change meanings. There's characters that pop out of places. And that is the same thing that they used to do in these spoof movies, right? Is taking these moments. Are you paying attention? Are you paying attention to the warning signs that change on the walls, all these different things. So really, yeah, this movie, just think Romy and Michelle meets Snowpiercer, meets Bullet Train, meets Airplane, and combine those together, and this is it. Such a smart comedy in how it handled those things, and how it handled the, like I said, the Airplane type humor. And just bringing in a cast of characters. And that's the other thing those movies did really well, was they'd go out and just find, like, random actors that you didn't think would ever kind of be in a movie together, fit in a movie together, and breaking their molds, right? So in this movie, Sarah Michelle Gellar, the gag with Sarah Michelle Gellar, nobody recognizing her, but her desperately wanting to be recognized, is hilarious. Natasha Leggero's character, Chris Parnell as the train conductor, who's got his own tragic backstory and goes into a whole Weekend at Bernie's type deal with Missy Pyle, who I adored. I love every time Missy Pyle shows up in a movie. But Chris Parnell reminded me so much of Robert Graves' character in Airplane as the pilot, with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Joey, have you ever been to a Turkish prison type lines? It's great. But yeah, so I was thinking about that. It's the same kind of thing they used to do on Love Boat, which made Love Boat so zany, right? Was they would take A, B, C, D list actors, throw them together on a boat, and have like a jewel theft mystery. And I kept thinking that, oh my gosh, all they really need in this is Charo to pop up like Love Boat. And boom, there was Charo. And I love this about this. It's everybody in the movie having their best time, right? And this is what I loved about Masters of the Universe too, was you have actors like Idris Elba and just having fun. And you could tell they just wanted to make a movie that was just going to give them an experience. And it emanates from people's pores in this movie that they're having so much fun. I thought about this too, as well in this movie. Like one of my favorite scenes in Airplane, right, is when they're in the hospital and she's like, "Who's that guy?" And he's like, "Oh, he thinks, what's wrong with that guy?" He thinks he's Ethel Merman. And then they pan around and it's Ethel Merman. What? Why is Ethel Merman in this movie? And so go see it for that nature. The interactions of characters you wouldn't normally think you're going to see together in a movie, doing their best to just have a blast, to have fun in this movie as well, right? The other thing I love about it is, yes, it is silly. Yes, it is zany, but it is also a beautiful satire. And that, again, is what makes these movies smart. It's what made those older movies smart, too, was they knew that they were in on the joke rather than the joke being made about them. And they were speaking truth to power. And in this movie, you really feel that as well, right? Especially in a time where we're in, where communities are getting marginalized and so forth, and being made to be afraid. This movie is in your face, out in the open, celebrating drag culture and owning it. And as if to say, look, you are out there intimidating, you are out there threatening, but here we are, here we're laughing, here we're going to keep doing our life, we're keep doing our things and not go into hiding. And we're going to put it out loud, and we're going to put it out bold in this movie, and here it is. And there's, lines from the president and various things that play into that satire. So a smart movie, a funny movie, a movie with a good heart, a zany, fun comedy in a world that increasingly needs zany, fun comedies to bring us together. The audience I was with was just a mixed audience of a lot of different ages and groups of people, and all of us were having the best time. We walked out together, laughing together, talking about the movie together. It reminded me of what it was like to used to watch Airplane and things. So well done to everybody in this movie. I think you should definitely check it out and see what you think.